think we are live. So I am going to start my video again. Okay, so everybody, thank you for joining us. I am here with Kirsten Oerlemans, which I mentioned earlier, and she is, we found her through a contest last Halloween. She did some amazing designs for us, and we were very excited about that. And then I saw her Facebook page, and she did some great dinosaurs. So I thought, what's not to love about dinosaurs? So Kirsten has been doing this for a couple of years. She was her inspiration to paint. She took some courses in Holland, where she lives with her two children that are at home for a while. With that, we are having a, needless to say, we have a coupon code, as we always do, and this one will be called Dino25. And this is the link. So, if you guys have any questions or whatever, I will be happy to answer them. And with that, I will give it over to Kirsten.
So, hi guys. Very nice of you all to join me in these crazy times. It's so much fun to be doing something else than having my kids around all day now. So I would love to show you some dinosaurs designs. If you have any questions, just let Blake know, and then I will answer whatever I can. So what I basically do if I wanted to start a dino design, I have a lot of, let me show you. So I have a lot of dinosaur books. So that's the good thing about having kids. I have a lot of materials I can use, and I always look at things to get some new kind of designs. So basically what I love to do is also paint them a bit realistically. Actually I'm going to use some paints I got from Craze right now. So this is a really cool palette, and I wanted to start off by using a bit different color than I would normally do. So a lot of kids, they ask for green dinosaurs, and yes, that's fun. But I also, you know, really love to do different things. So obviously check out for clothes, try something else. But my first design, I would like to do a bit of over the head design. I always try to see what is the shape of a dinosaur. What does it look like? What is he actually doing? So you know, I like sharp teeth, so I always try to have the mouth at least a bit open or showing some teeth. So let's go. Think about placement.
Hi, Marina. Hi, Kathy.
Hey guys.
Kathy loves, her kids love dinosaurs.
Cool, mine do too. And I have to say that they love them by themselves a bit. And I have to say I really nurture it as well, because I really love them. And yeah, not just paint them. We go, like I just told Blake, we go there to a museum in Boxtel very often to watch the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. So what I basically do is try to make the shape of the mouth, and think about the angle of the jaw here. It goes a bit up, and then the neck maybe a bit as well.
I think you're the only person that's going to understand this on this call, but Cindy said, "Hoi Kirsten, grot ut vianen."
Hoi, goed terug. It's probably Dutch, huh?
I think it sounds like it's Dutch.
That's so nice. So basically, I always try to look a bit at the lighting as well, so to make it natural and to think about the eye area. So the eye area will always be a bit darker, and the light will come from the top. So basically here as well, you will have a bit more of a shadow area beneath the jawline, and you can maybe get some perspective going like this. Now it's always fun, and it's a bit difficult on a board, but I really enjoy giving some yeah, to add some texture with stencils, but my board is still a bit wet, so I'll move on and I'll add the stencils a bit later. So what I always try to do is when I build a design like this is also to think of how much time something needs to dry in order to paint it as quickly as possible. So, you know, if the eyes need a little bit extra attention as well. So the eye area is now a bit wet still, but let me grab a color for the eye and make it maybe a bit of a yellowish eye. So I will put some yellow, activate it well. And then let's see. And I think dinosaurs always have a bit small backwards eyes. I'm sorry, eyes. So they work for that. And you can always, you know, if you don't have a lot of different colors, use a split K to get some mention in the mouth as well. So you want different shades to get also a bit of an idea of depth. So I'll use a bit of pink here for the lips and the back of the mouth. But I will also try and add some darker colors. So that's what I always like to do. I love to layer designs a bit. Work with colors. And, you know, nobody's ever seen a dinosaur, so who knows they didn't look like this, right? So maybe add here. Sometimes they have these ledges over their head. I don't know how you call it, but yeah. I like to draw them like this as well. So, and then, you know, it's just mainly a lot of decorating them as well. So once you have them, they just need, you know, a bit of dark eyes with a lot of shadow and sharp teeth. Basically then about good to go. So add some teeth. You can outline the teeth and you can also leave it out. You know, it depends on how much time you have. If you outline them, you know, make sure you use a really thin, thin brush. That helps. I usually, when I'm painting a kid, I always like to tell stories about how big teeth are, so that you know, there's for a T-Rex, I think his teeth are as big as a banana or something like that, and you know that kind of helps the kid to identify a bit with it, or at least, you know, have some idea of, wow, this is really huge. I don't know, I like it.
Sure.
So let me see if I can add. So I put some red on a dauber. Basically, it can be any paint, any color you want. Let me see if it's still a bit wet in that area. So I will just put it maybe a bit here, and I will add some texture. You can basically put it wherever you want. It's a lot of fun to play with the size of the dots as well. To, you know, make on the outside, to start maybe on one side, start small, then make them bigger, and then smaller again. The same here, to also, you know, create some movement, movement with it. So I am really in love with this liner brush. It's from Marcela Bustamante, and I just love it for the finer details of and also outlining. But you can use whatever brush you want. But if I'm making a design and I make it a bit realistic, I try to use a small brush. But you know, if you have a bigger one and it's not such a realistic design, you know, you could easily have have a bigger brush.
What size brush is that? That's a script liner, clearly. But
Yeah, it's a
the one
one.
before, what was that brush?
So the other one was a low Cornell #1.
Okay, thank you.
It looks like, and so I used a one stroke. This is from Chameleon Paint. I don't know really what the size would be, maybe 5/8 or something, or half an inch. Especially because kids' heads are not so big, so if you use it too wide of an angle, you will never get this movement done. So sometimes it's easier to have a smaller brush, and then you could use it on two sides like this. That works better, I think, than having a too wide of a brush.
Samantha asked, when you're working at events quickly at an event, what do you have for using stencils, as drawing time is limited during hectic events?
So I usually have this this bomb stencil. I think it's the snake skin, and I always also love using just the regular dots, or basically any old print. I have different texture ones I use as well. I think it's more difficult to get it dry on the skin, but I think if you want stenciling, try to use a dry base, make it as dry as possible. I usually use one strokes with a brush, because that's my preferred method. But I think if you use a sponge, it's also very easy, because you can really make it dry as well. But I think that's just the main message. Don't work too wet if you want to work fast, because that just won't work. So now it's a bit far.
So you're outlining the teeth.
I'm now quickly outlining the teeth, because that's actually what I really like if that happens. And I'm adding a bit of shadow under these things, and then I think it's always nice to have this evil brow thing going on.
Yeah.
And some shadow and some lines under the eyes. They have
Welcome.
And then also here I add some lines. But I think a lot of these lines are optional. It all depends on how much time you have, basically. So it's it's like the first kid in line. If the first kid, if there's no line, gets a massive thing to draw other kids in. And I think if there's a huge line waiting, you try to narrow it down a bit, I guess.
Right.
Be as quick as possible. But some details just help making the design nice and stand out a bit more. So I always try to add a couple of details at least. And and while I know that you could easily stop here with just black lines, I personally really like it to also give some highlights to it.
Okay.
So, even just a couple of quick ones, that really helps if you want to create a bit of an illusion somewhere, or some depth. So this would be, I think a design that could easily work. I think it's always nice to see what works on what position of the head. So this would be a nice thing. And I'm not usually one for a lot of backgrounds. So I usually just do the dinos. You can do the background as well. And I know a lot of people love it. I basically just choose often to make more details into the dinosaur than to add some background. But I can show some ideas that I have for that as well. So basically, this would be a quick dinosaur that you could give to a kid. And it can be any color, basically. So
we do the black and white dinosaur. That's cool.
Yeah, so this is actually black and white. And I added some pink details. Let me quickly grab another board.
Okay.
And share some other thoughts I have.
Fantastic.
Oh, let me.
One other thing, FacePaint.com, we just started this because of the virus thing that's been going around and just crisis. So for FacePaint.com, while this crisis thing's going on, we're going to have free shipping in the United States for any order over $20. Hi, Maria.
Nice. Oh, too bad we're not in the States, huh?
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's no problem. So I guess basically
be grateful, honestly.
Yeah, I think this is the perfect time to practice, right? I mean, if you
exactly,
there's no jobs and gigs are being cancelled. Well, yeah, there's no time like today to practice and show something. So basically, I just loaded my sponge with a bit of color to share how I would do it if I would have a background on one of the dinosaurs. So basically, I think I also, think it's a bit of a theme for me, but I like it when there's the color gradients or a variation in color. It attracts the eye better. This is kind of like a sunset or something. So basically, and then I leave here some space for a dinosaur. And then...
Oh, Laura asked, where is this going to be shown in its entirety? Let me get you the link, Laura. We always sort of share these things on FacePaint.com's Facebook page. So I'll get you a link for that.
Cool. So now I will show you. I keep forgetting that the camera is a bit farther than I am looking. So basically, let me just show a green dinosaur because, yeah, it's nice to practice different colors, but I think kids often want green dinosaurs. And as you can see, I'm a real clean painter. My hands often have to be, so even without Corona, I had to sanitize my hands multiple times during a gig.
That's interesting.
So basically, let me see. So if I try to do a different design, I often also look at cartoons. So you can basically look up realistic pictures, but it's also real fun to look at some cartoon images of dinosaur. That can give you a great idea on. So this is actually where I came up with this one. This is more cartoon version. Let's see. And then let me see what. And then I really like it to make that. It's difficult to see here. But to end with stencil, like this. So basically, this is kind of the ground shape. I think, if you're not happy or if it doesn't look exactly like you want to, you can always change it up. I think that's what the beauty of outlining is. I think.
It's her session. To face paint is to never say sorry.
No, exactly.
It was art. You meant to do that. She's gonna have a T-shirt made up. She's still working on it.
I always think, who has ever seen a dinosaur for real? I mean, it's all in people's interpretation, right, of the bones and of the stuff. So they haven't discovered like maybe half or way more dinosaurs. So I always say they just didn't, invent this one, or they didn't find this one yet. Who knows? So I love to also play around with yellow as a color for the eye. So you can do white; it really pops. But yellow is also really nice. And I think it's a bonus as well here because it's part of the color block, and always colors that are in the color blocks together or in the mix, they work really well together. So that that's a lot of fun to use. Let me grab this one for black.
Claire tells him it's artistic license when she makes a mistake.
Yes, exactly. No mistake, right?
And Maria asked about Maron liquid brush cleaner. We have it on the website, and I gave her a link, and I'll give it to you. Cleaner and keeping things clean at this point. You know, what little we can do. It's a great thing.
Yeah, that's the least we can do right now.
Mm. So you're going to put the head against the background. Okay. Kind of with a sunset.
Yes. So this is a, and I was just telling you that I really love open-mouthed dinosaurs, but this is a closed-mouthed one. But it's, you know, I think in the end also a bit of a variance or things, you know, not always have the same design, even though it doesn't really work like that for kids. Huh? So I don't know what you got, your experience is, but my experience is if you do one, like with unicorns, everybody wants exactly the same.
Sure.
But, you know, there's no two exact copies. Just like if I make a bed, they don't know, but it's just say nobody looks the same. It's just like with humans, huh?
Exactly.
Just be confident when you say it, huh? You know what? Sometimes even I'm critical about what I do, and then I make something and I'm thinking, oh, this is not so nice. But, you know, just realize that almost everybody else who's walking around there, you know, can do it. They can even do it close to that. So
absolutely.
Just be a bit kind to yourself, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the mouth. Now we are still. It would still be fun to have some teeth showing. Like have a little overbite or something like that. Yeah.
A little teeth.
Yeah. If you know that they are like bananas, this is just a small part of the teeth that's coming out to play.
Maria wanted to ask, can you do a gator?
A gator? I think I can. You want me to show one now?
No, not necessarily. If you've got one at the ready, it's okay. Don't worry about it.
I can bring it.
Claire from the UK says it's soda law. You do a cartoon style dinosaur and a little boy that wanted a real toothy, scary one and looks miserable as hell when he sees the mirror.
Yeah, basically, actually, I always, you know, try to tell them. I don't. Yeah. I think it's just winging it, you know, being explaining something to them or and feeling. I think it's. I basically ask them as well. So, do you want a cartoony version or do you want a more realistic one? Mm-hmm. And I think you can. So you could make this design also more realistic. You know, add more detail, add more shading, a bit. Yeah, maybe, you know, I think stencils help with that as well. So if you add a stencil and if you maybe also double layer it, it becomes more realistic. If you forego the details, so I only did a bit of detail here in the bottom to make it more fun. But if you do it more on the animal itself, it becomes more realistic. So I would always ask a bit as well to see, you know, what do you like? What would you prefer?
Oh, someone wanted, Carmen, this is a good idea, a bite dinosaur, meaning a dinosaur that's biting around the eye.
Oh, yeah. I had that in mind as well. I love those. I think those are the ones I make most.
Okay, well, we'll do one of those maybe today. It's in the dinosaur theme.
Yeah, I was watching the timer, so there's more than enough. I also, you know, I wanted to try a bit different ones because it would be boring if I would show you 4 different ones around the eye.
Well, sure, absolutely. No, that's fine.
But it can be done, you know, and it's so what I have as well is the option of having just a face or also with the body. That's something that I ask the kids always. So if I have the time to do it, you know, it's just kind of like, do you want this? How do you like it? But that's a bit of if it's time. If it's really busy, it would just be around the eye, and I would forgo the body. Yeah, completely. So this is just add some black. Now I could just have some stenciling around the dinosaur to fill up the empty spaces, and I think it looks cool. Oh, I messed up the eye. That happens because it's wasn't.
So Claire says she's lousy at dinosaurs, so she's when she says she's useless at dinosaurs, so she's saving this for reference. So.
Oh well, you're welcome. You are always welcome to do that. And I think it's just a matter of practice. It's just I think it's just like with painting. I love painting, and then you get better at it. And I love dinosaurs, and I do them a lot. So, you know, if a kid asks me, oh, can I be an animal? Can I be a tiger? I'm like, yeah, you can be. But you could also be a dinosaur. So, and then they're like, oh yeah, dinosaur. So that's fun. So I think this is, you know, basically also a really quick design that could easily be done on the job. Especially because I don't know how, because okay, I chat a lot to the kids as well, but you know, maybe not so much as I am now, right? So let me see what board I will use for this one. I have too many boards. Well, I don't know. Can you ever have too many boards? I don't know.
Never.
I have a lot of boards, and I still want more. Oh, I am so in love with these boards from Svetlana Keller. They are amazing.
Maria, we do have a discount today. That discount is for just craze, and it's like 25% off. So it's called Dino 25. And here's the link. Maria thinks that was a great and easy design. So
yeah. I actually really love the easy designs as well, because they, they're just fun. Okay, and over the eye, what color shall I use?
Yeah, Carmen really likes the design too.
Cool.
Okay, the over eye one. Okay, great.
Blue one? Maybe that's nice. Nice to have different colors as well, because, you know, only green is boring as well. And I still think so. Sometimes people are a bit hesitant to use green. So I think this brand really washes off well in color. So I use it on my son a lot, so I can see. And I think it depends on the skin as well if the color stays on. It's basically, you know, explaining everybody how to clean it. But yeah, I haven't had any issues with any of the colors in this palette, so that is good. So basically, you start with the nose, somewhere here, then you move up for the eye socket and the head. And you go down. No, let me start here with the chin.
Let me zoom in on that.
Okay. So now I always try to think a bit of the angle. So this is a bit of a big, but it's the board is big, or the forehead is big, I don't know. It's like my own head. Sometimes if I paint myself, I forget I have this huge forehead, and my designs are silly. This dinosaur just has a really big mouth. Sorry, what did I say?
Fantastic. That's going to be a big mouth.
Yeah.
So somebody asked me what was included in the discount code. It's any Craze product.
That's nice. So if we're all practicing, we need a lot of paints, right? I mean, we don't have gigs, but practicing is nice as well.
It is good. That's what you can do, at least at the time. You can only control what you can.
Yeah, and we can all be sad.
So let me ask the group. What are you guys doing in this this time of difficulty? How are you keeping busy? And maybe of equal importance, what can FacePaint.com do for you guys to try to help you through this? Okay.
So, crazy enough. So I'm really happy to be painting now because we have the kids at home now in the Netherlands for the next 3 weeks. So I'm slowly going mad.
They've shut down
them,
most of the schools in the United States too, at least a lot of places. I know they've done it in New York and New York State. It's all closed down because my kid's out of school. Finishing up your taxes. Actually, I thought they delayed taxes, so you didn't have to do your taxes for until July.
No.
International Face Painting School. Lisa's doing that. That's a good idea. Practicing a lot and playing video games when the kids let up. There you go. Nice job, Lucy. Carmen is face painting to relax from the craziness. Over here, Carmen, where are you from? I think you said earlier. Are you from? No, you didn't. So over here, really nothing. Washington State. Yeah, you're in the same boat that New York is. Really nothing's open except for the grocery stores and pharmacies.
Oh. But you can still go out or not? Because I know there's countries where there's a I don't know. You can only go out to work and to go to the supermarket.
Can't even work. Sarah said they locked down their website. Kids homeschooled, Lisa's redesigning her website. Gina said they might close our schools for the rest of the school year. I'm going crazy. Lucy, I've always wondered about that document. So she's in France and she can't go outside unless she has a document. But you just sign the document and say, I've signed the document. I mean, what does a document look like? Cindy, you're a nurse. Well, stay safe. You're doing God's work at this point. Claire's got some practice boards, and she's going to be practicing all the stuff she's avoided over the last 20 years.
That's good.
Never too late. Never too late.
No, and I think we can all be sad, but I think it's best to make best of the time we have, right? This is completely out of our hands, so yeah.
Exactly. It really is. Yeah.
So basically, what I've done is I first lay out the base of the face, and I also put a body in now. But you can also easily have only the face. And I love to put the tail a bit like here, so the kid usually has this tail in the neck area.
Oh, they can't see you. They're just seeing the board.
Well, no problem. So they see it here, and
I don't know why you're not seeing anybody.
That's no problem. So, and then I always point the teeth. So with this design, so this board is really nice because it doesn't have hairy eyebrows. But there's always something to pay attention to if you're drawing this, because it's really uneasy to paint the teeth in the eyebrows if they're really big or dark or whatever. So pay attention to that when you have the placement. That's what I always like to do. And I did it a bit wet. So let me see. So I'll do a white eye now. I think these have always really small eyes, and I also already put in a bit of the dark side of the one stroke in the eye area to already start a bit of the shading there to give it a bit of an evil expression, let's say.
There you go. Beth's practicing new skills, henna, balloons, etc. Clean face paint supplies, cooking, St. Pat meals, webinars, back taxes. There you go. Delivery and drive-through are a blessing. That's true. And yeah, we're still sending out orders from the warehouse. Oddly enough, our business is considered an essential business in the United States. Why shipping face paint is because I'm shipping from a warehouse. So they're leaving warehouses alone. So they're not shutting those down.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a a lot of businesses are in worse shape. You know, restaurants are just being shut down all over the place. Yeah. Hi, Rhonda.
Yeah, and in the Netherlands, they are, you know, trying to see if they can support them financially, but I don't know how it is in the States. I don't think you have.
No, they just passed a bill today, and they're going to send out checks to everybody. I don't know what that's going to do, given so many people are going to lose their jobs.
So now I used now this time, so the two, yeah, I don't know, snake, and I don't know what this one is actually, but it's also some kind of an animal skin print. But you can actually basically use just about anything as a shape to get, you know, I could also use one of these stencils to get some kind of a pattern going. I think in the end that's just fun to do, different shapes. Let me see if I can add that just for the fun of it.
Yeah, $1,000 is not enough.
No. Really harsh times. Huh? No. Let's see. So with the eye again, I would have an evil brow going on.
Oh, Beth, you don't know whether you want a Graftobian compressor or just want one? No. I don't know. That's a hard call. I probably don't need it, Beth. You're actually having a compressor. I already know this. Hi, Patty.
So, and I really don't know what the shape of the eye is, but I love to do the bit snake eye shape where it's it starts out wide and it ends thin, but you can also easily just do a dot if that works better for you.
What stencil did you use for the white width?
This one.
Okay. And what's it called?
Okay, let me see. Yeah, so this is from the half stencils. It's the 4028. But it's in one of those packs with the little ones all together. I think you can also have it bigger. But I love these small ones for the little kids' faces. So it really works. So let me see, because I was outlining with a bigger brush earlier, but this is a bit more of a fun design. So I could use a bigger brush as well to show you how to do it.
Carmen asked, did we sell the practice tools, the kind of boards you're using? And yes, we do. We sell sparkling faces, and here they are.
Yes, and they are amazing. They work really well.
Very sort of straightforward. I like them.
Yeah, they're really fun. But, you know, be careful because they are highly addictive. I just only think of I need the other ones as well. Well, I don't really know if I do, but with lines, it's always fun to have a bit of thick, thin variation or try that to get that going. But it's basically the same as in every face painting design. Yeah. So, you know, I have a lot of low Cornell brushes, but this is also one of the, let me see. So this is a 3 round from Marcelo Bustamante. I love that series as well. I also love to work with a bit of tiger stripes or something on a dinosaur. I don't know if they ever had that, but I think it looks cool.
It always likes something when it's eating their eyes. That's precisely that.
Yeah, and you know, was really the best, and I have that on my Instagram always somewhere. But it's so much fun if a kid has it on their eye, and if they blink or really scrunch their eye together, then it looks like the dinosaur is actually biting them. That is a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. So I always try to have them do that in the mirror as well. It's we are in the business of making smiles, I guess. So it's important to have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah. Just have some lining here. And here is a bit of a. Yeah, they always have this bit. Yeah, it looks like their mouth can stretch wider than it actually can. So I always try to mimic it like that. Mm-hmm. It's always also a lot of fun to add glitter. It doesn't really work on this board, so you don't show. But my son also really loves it when I add glitter. So don't be shy to also ask boys if they want glitter, because glitter makes everything looks better, even a dinosaur.
Even dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Glitter is awesome.
Yeah, it is. And it can also be forgiving, eh? So I have often, if you make something and you're not 100% happy with it, just add a bit of glitter and then instantly looks better. Mm-hmm. So at least it works for me like that. So, and then just add some highlights.
Patty, it isn't. We tried messing with the camera earlier. We couldn't get it any closer.
But I can do it like
there
this.
You go. Yeah, you can see the details.
So it's, and play around with it. It doesn't have to be like this. You can add details just about anywhere.
Sure.
So this is a bit my quick on the job kind of design, but you can easily make it with more details. So if you would add more realism, I would maybe have a bit more water. I would add some shading by doing something like this. And you can do that in multiple places. And then you make it a bit more realistic. You can add more lines and more stuff. But, I think for a quick design, that's not needed at all.
Right.
So let me do one more. And then I always like the ones around the mouth as well. But you can also do it on the cheek. The only thing I don't really like when it's on the mouth is that it's, at least with my kids, it's only good for about 1 minute, because then they smudge it. They eat or they wipe their mouth or
something.
And then yeah. So if I've taken my picture, I don't mind that much really anymore. But right up until that moment, it would be nice if they would not do that.
So Beth asked, which practice board do you like? The profile, the 3/4, the front? Which one do you like the best?
I love this one.
Okay.
But it's also because, but it's also because the whole board is filled. So maybe I'm a bit autistic, but so this one is also nice, but it has so much white. Mm-hmm. And in the store, they only had this one for white handed, and I like the kid ones better as well than the adults. Right. But I also like the front facing, because you can make a lot of different designs with it, and you can also really, if you want to, you can also practice the. Let me show you here. So you can practice an over the eye design with this one as well, and you can practice a mouth design, and this is, I think, if you would only have one a front facial would be most versatile, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'm really happy with this.
Mariska loved your demo designs. They also want to see. Linda mentioned that she loves seeing the details closer. So maybe when we get to the end of the next design, we can show them the details.
Yes, I can do that. Perfect. So I often paint boyish designs on a girl board, but then my boy doesn't like them because it's a girl. So I'll make this a girly one. So I can make a design like this. I will not put it exactly with the mouth. I can do that, but you can also, I think, start to paint a bit more on the cheek. I can show a picture where I created one later, but so it's a bit the same as what I did before, the nose, and then you have the eye area.
Mm-hmm.
The mouth,
Is
and
face
then,
painting
yeah.
popular in Holland? Netherlands?
Face painting?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like in the States. I think it's a lot of people really love it, but a lot of Dutch people are also a bit cheap, not wanting to spend money themselves.
Right.
So I think a lot of so that's what you see. But I think it's really a mix of
But you seem to have a lot of face painting stores, brands all come from there. I mean,
there's a lot of face painters in our country, and I think a lot of people also want to try it. So if I'm in a school, a lot of parents, want to help, and we have painting. So if there's a school, I don't know if it's an event or a thing, there's always face painting involved. I think with when my kids being 5 and 8, they all of these kids all love to be face painted, and at fairs and stuff like that, you can all see.
Gina would love to see when you put your eye on the character on the. I guess this is a red crocodile. Kind of looks like a crocodile.
Like
Sandra. She'd like to see a close up on the eye. So when you do the eye.
Okay. Okay, let me try that then. So the leg here, I always try to use examples, and I mentioned earlier, so I have books, but I also have, for example, these things that my son has, and I often look at stuff like that as well to see, what would work, how does it look, yeah. So let's make it a really red mouth inside. So here is the so
So it says it's a dinosaur, not a crocodile. Jeez.
Yeah,
it's true.
You can call it a dinosaur, a crocodile, but I think it's supposed to be a dinosaur.
You're right.
But people get their there's sometimes there's this point where it could be either. So in here I'm kind of thinking of the line where the back is with the stripes, and they will help to create that illusion of the flow. Make them a bit small. And then it's a bit of the I don't know. I think it's a technique of using the same colors to create some shading. So it's try a bit of the red in this case. I will add a bit of where I think the shadow is going to be. So this is the back leg, the bottom, and here's the head.
And just as a reminder, what's coming up next week? We have we moved one up because of just people are bored and we're like webinars. So we're having Simona Rad come back, and she's going to do eye designs on the 25th. And then we're going to have Pam Kinneberg do Easter designs on the 30th. And then going into April, we have Jacqueline, Vivid Glitters, doing on-the-job glitter on the 7th of Tuesday. So just check our Facebook page. We'll post it all there.
So the teeth, and here I will have 2 rows of teeth. Oop, a lot of paint here. Then obviously I have the nails or the claws, I think it's and I think what helps with you know, if you want to speed it up, is to know what you want to add and then be as efficient as you can with the colors, so that you don't have to go back and forth with white, for example. So think about, you know, where you want to put the highlights, and then that saves time in the end as well.
Claire had, Marina says, thanks for the webinars. You guys rock. Claire says, I doubt we'll be doing Easter gigs this year, which is great. I detest painting rabbits. And Lucy says, thanks for these webinars. It really makes me have this precious moment to myself with the community. Well, we'll keep doing webinars. We'll be doing less or bicycle 1 a week for as long as this lasts, and probably even longer, because I like doing these webinars as well. Gives me a chance to talk to you guys.
Yeah, it's nice and interactive like this.
Yeah.
And you know, it's completely corona proof, huh? Being,
yeah, no one can get sick doing this. No one.
No, exactly.
Yeah, very few injuries. Very few injuries.
Yeah, but also no risk of cancellation because of that. So that's nice as well.
Yeah. So Beth loves that these are all in different colors. She thinks that's really fun.
I love that, to do that, because otherwise it's so boring and it's so green.
Yeah.
Because somehow kids think that dinosaurs are green. I don't know. You know, I have never seen evidence of that. So even more typical, I go to a dinosaur museum often, and the dinosaurs have all of these different colors.
Aren't they supposed to have feathers too? Or some?
I don't. So this is the T-Rex. I don't. Yeah, I think they added it later. But the Velociraptor definitely has feathers. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. I can add them.
Well, Laura says, well, for next Easter, we can do Easter dinosaurs.
Well, you know, you can put a ring on it, you can put a hat on it. It can be, you know, there's a dinosaur for every occasion.
Oh, what I was thinking is sort of zoom in on the eye or bring it up when you've gotten it to a point, just so people can see that. We wanted to see how you did that.
So I try to not smudge my stuff. I keep forgetting the paint is not completely dry.
Right.
So, and then
yeah, the board doesn't dry as fast as a human body would.
No, and I want to show you guys as much as possible. Oh, I was stuck in the paint. Sorry, I had to remove my elbow from a jar of paint.
Right.
So let me quickly do this. So what I usually do around the eye as well is, you know, is create some depth by adding these lines. Mm-hmm. And to have you can have a really pronounced eyebrow. Mm-hmm. Does that help, or is it? Does it answer?
Yeah, I think it does. That's a good eye.
I'll put it down. Yeah.
It's easier to paint one flat surface.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit. Yeah, well, you know, I guess we all work with wiggly kids, so we're all. They're hardly ever as easy as a board.
You're welcome, Jan. Hi, Jacqueline. How, right? Not ho. I got it wrong last time.
And it's fun to have some muscle definition going on. I guess it's a bit of how thick the lines and how many lines you make, how realistic it is. So, yeah, it's a bit of what you like personally. I really love the more realistic side, but you know, it doesn't have to be like that. It is a fantasy animal, at least now it is. So, make a bit of it. So, and if you want to paint more realistically, I think it's more of thinking where would some lines need to be? Do I need to place a bit of some shading somewhere? So, and then you can do that with these little stripes. That's what I often do. I kind of saw it at some, you know, if you look up some cartoons or something from these animals, it's also a lot of fun to do that, and they give you some idea of how people draw them, and you can see how they create with just some lines, some depth or some shading, and that's a really fun technique, I think, to use. So you can also.
What is Carmen had a question. I have what is better, wax based or glycerin based face paint? How do you know what is the difference? Which looks better on the skin?
I think it's a bit of the personal preference. I think a lot of them. Yeah, and are these wax based?
Those are wax based. So so generally what I know about this, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is that so wax based are like Diamond Tag, Craze, Wolf. So these are some of the wax based, and what they're good is for line work, so they can do slightly sharper edges. And then the glycerin based are like Maron, Superstar, Snazaroo, I believe. So those tend to be better for blending. Did I get that right? And
yeah, it also depends on the colors, I think.
Yeah, it does. But I mean, in terms of the general feel of the paint,
yeah,
I think that's about right. And then,
yeah.
how long would this? Gina asked, how long would this normally take on the job?
5 minutes ish.
Okay.
It depends on how much. I think on how busy it is. I think if it's really not busy, I would take more time.
Yeah.
I would add more details. But you can whip one up really easily. That doesn't take too long. So it's a bit messy mouth, but you know.
Never say sorry.
No, that's true. So you were mentioning earlier that
actually, I think we've come to our the close. It has been an hour, and
wow.
Oh, I know it seems like time flies when you're having fun. I tell you.
It is. So, do I need to show them? Yeah, can.
Sure. Yeah. Well, let's see the earlier one. Yeah, this is one we did earlier in the video.
This.
And that one. Yeah. There we go. You're very welcome, Trisha.
Here, this is not so detailed, but you know, this is also to show it doesn't have to be that detailed.
It doesn't.
I think in the end, you know.
Lori loves them.
Thank you.
Loves the designs.
I love to add some dots as well. So.
Just can't stop.
But that's a bit, you know, I could go on for hours.
Yeah. Oh, so Carmen, you can see this all on. We're going to post this. We're going to publish this on our Facebook our Facebook's, so you can see it there. It'll be there and right after this is over. Okay. Thanks, Tasha. Thanks, everybody. And thank you, Kirsten. So
thank you very much.
Yeah, it was great having you do this. And oops, wrong one. Jeez. Why am I on there? Okay. Speaker view. There we are. So yeah, so thank you for coming, and thank everybody here, and everybody be safe. That's absolutely true. Linda, thank you for mentioning that. Cindy loved all these. So next Wednesday, we're doing with Simona, and we're doing it at, I think it's the same kind of time that we're doing now, because she's also in Europe. So let me check just to make sure. Because yeah, so it's going to be at no, actually it'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Have a good evening, and do stay safe. Okay.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thanks. Bye.